Hi, welcome to Reddit Tea Time. My fiance and I just found out that we're pregnant. My fiance mentioned that she wanted to wait to announce it at her cousin's wedding, which will be taking place on Sunday. Her cousin and her husband have been struggling getting pregnant even with IVF or the tons of others. Recently, they just got some news that their insurance has stopped funding IVF, and not to mention the heartbreak of a recent miscarriage on Mother's Day. They almost understandably held off on the wedding. So when my fiance brought it up to me, I told her it's not at all a good idea. This just seems so wrong, especially being at their wedding. I asked if she was gonna at least ask her cousin for permission, and she said no, because she wanted it to be a surprise for everyone. I told her it's not the time nor the place for that, and it would take the spotlight off the couple. In her family, there hasn't been a baby in 3 years, so we'd be the first in that time. My fiance feels that's the perfect time because it's such a joy and it's not like she can keep it away forever. And their problems shouldn't keep her from telling something so positive, so it's on them if they turn it negative. I told her that's not the point. She knows what they've been through and she's being selfish if she actually goes through with that. She cried and claimed I wasn't being supportive and I shouldn't be calling my pregnant fiance selfish. She doesn't want me to come with her to the wedding anymore either, feeling as if I would kill the mood. She hasn't been talking to me either. Edit. So about my fiance and her cousin's relationship. My fiance always saw competition in her cousin because her cousin would be better at some things than her. Grades, dancing, cosmetics, etc. since they were kids, and she hates that. Last year, they had an argument about it because fiance felt her cousin bragged too much, whereas my fiance also mentioned there was one thing her cousin wasn't good at, but never said what it was. So in shorter terms, the relationship is in between good and bad, but her cousin wanted to invite her to the wedding, I'm guessing to rekindle that. Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. Your fiance has a bad case of main character syndrome. Not the bonehead. Hijacking someone's event to make your own announcement is extremely rude and selfish. Add on that the couple is having trouble getting pregnant themselves is that times 10. I say this as someone getting married on Sunday. Don't you effing dare. Not the bonehead. Not the bonehead. Are you sure you want to marry this person? She seems to have zero self-awareness, and when you didn't leap to 3 cheers for her stupid idea, she doesn't want you there because you'll kill the mood? She definitely loves herself above everyone else, including you. Not the bonehead. Give the cousin a call and let them know what's up. Give them a chance to uninvite her. She'll ruin the day for them if she's not stopped. What a horrible, selfish person. I had an incident on my wedding day back in 2017 where my former fiancé abandoned me and ran away with his pregnant mistress. That image, those details are forever engraved on my mind, and I'll never forget how I felt that day. This was truly a turning point in my life. My family have always been there for me, so I kept close to them. My younger sister is currently engaged and her wedding will be in a few months. She's struggling with money, so I decided to help her and her fiancé and pay for the wedding dress. This allowed her to be able to buy her dream wedding gown that cost $7,000. It's a lot for a dress, but she literally cried because she wanted it. This happened a few days before we agreed to go buy the dress. We were eating dinner at my parents' home and my cousin and aunt were there. My aunt was asking my sister about the wedding and my sister said that everything was going according to plan, and then casually laughed and said, "Let's just hope he won't run away with a pregnant mistress or something on our wedding day." I was blown away completely. She laughed, and my aunt laughed too, as if this was a joke. She was basically mocking what happened with me in my wedding. It happened so fast. I got up and started screaming at her, calling her an idiot, but my parents asked me to take it easy, and she said it was a joke, and she didn't think I'd react so intensely. My aunt remained seated, and my cousin asked me to calm down and drink some water, but I grabbed my stuff, and as I was getting ready, I told my sister she was getting $0 for her dream wedding dress, and then I walked out. I heard louder commotion as I walked, and my dad and cousin followed me outside trying to talk, but I asked to be left alone. My dad said I was too harsh on my sister over a joke, and said I know this is how she is with her dark sense of humor. They said she's been crying after I decided to back out of helping her, and said this would ruin her wedding. They want me to reconsider my decision since it might damage my relationship with my sister, but I refused. Did I overreact? Info. It's my aunt who would usually bring up what happened from time to time and say stuff like, "If what happened hadn't happened, you would have had at least 2 kids by now." Or, "Do you know what day it is? Your wedding anniversary." It's harsh, but she stopped doing it. Maybe my sister is being influenced by her, but still it hurt the same, and more so coming from my own sister. Now for some comments. This is how she is with her dark sense of humor. Well, this is how I am with her dark sense of humor. Serious lack of self-awareness and simple respect from this sister. Charged remarks come with charged consequences, not the bonehead. Let's all joke about someone's trauma and then get mad at them when they react exactly how you'd expect someone with trauma to react, not the bonehead. She was crying over a dress. She should have been crying with remorse for how she hurt you, not the bonehead. All she cares about is her day and her dress and your wallet. Tell her to pound sand, and if anyone in your family gives you crap, tell them the same. Tell them that in 10 years, if she's matured and can sincerely apologize, you might forgive her and you might consider a nice anniversary gift, if the marriage lasts that long. Not the bonehead. I wish I had $1 for every time I see, you know how he, she, they, is, are on the sub. It's just the same as saying, yeah, we know what they did was wrong, but they don't listen to us, so we're going to try to guilt you into fixing this. You were under no obligation to pay for your sister's extremely expensive dress. It was a wonderful act of kindness. As thanks, your sister threw the most traumatic experience of your life in your face and laughed about it. $7,000 can buy a pretty amazing holiday, OP. You definitely deserve it, just saying. Not the bonehead. You don't make a joke at the expense of someone who is paying an obscene amount of money for your wedding gown and then still expect them to fork over the money for you. My family hasn't celebrated anything to do with me since I was 12 years old. My dad and his new wife had a baby that year and I was kind of forgotten about. I would get birthday presents and such, but no party or anything. I got used to it and started a tradition of celebrating with my friends. We would go see movies or whatever. One of my friend's moms found out and started making me a cake every year for my birthday. When I graduated from high school, I'd saved up enough money to go on a week-long vacation in NYC with my best friend and her mom to see Hadestown. I just finished university and I'm starting my new job right away. I guess my dad had planned a big party for me as a surprise, but I didn't show up because I went out with my friends instead. When my family started asking me why I didn't show up after my father had gone through all the effort for me, I explained that he hadn't celebrated anything of mine in 10 years and I didn't know he had planned to do so this time. He told everyone I was lying, so I asked him to post any pictures he had from my birthday parties, extracurricular activities, or high school graduation, etc. He obviously couldn't, and everyone started crapping on him. Now he's mad because I'm talking about private family matters. I'm just gonna go over there and pick up the few things I have left in that house and just move to my new city without dealing with this anymore. Am I the bonehead? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. How dare you tell the truth about me being a horrible parent? Really? People always call them private family matters when they know their behavior is indefensible. Definitely not the bonehead. You can't attend a party you didn't know about. He's now mad because you called him out on his lies and proved to family that he hasn't actually celebrated anything for you in years. It makes him look bad, obviously, and that's what he's mad about. You do you. Good luck with your new job and your move. Not the bonehead. What a brilliant way of putting him in his place. You were honest with people. He publicly accused you of lying. You proved he was the one lying. He now thinks you're wrong for talking about private family matters. Funny how he was okay talking about them publicly until he got his butt handed to him. Not the bonehead. When you throw someone a surprise party, you have to actually get them there somehow. Unless you had plans with your dad that you ditched without notice, he messed this one up big time. My sister got married last Saturday. The ceremony was beautiful and I enjoyed myself as much as someone who is famously not a wedding guy could. The dramatics were not quite as enjoyable. I, 27 male, hadn't seen my family in a few months, and we've only had a handful of phone calls over the course of those months. It's never on purpose that I pull one of these disappearing acts, but mostly out of habit. I've been fiercely independent for most of my life, and I get easily caught up in whatever I'm doing at that time. That makes it hard for me to remember to keep those not in my direct line of sight in the loop. My mother is the same way. It's also nice visiting around times when big events like this are going on, as my mom is prone to hovering whenever I'm home, and this takes some of the spotlight off me. I'd been in Ireland for about 8 months prior to flying in last Thursday. I was originally there to spend 2 weeks with my best friend who, thanks to the aforementioned one-track mindedness I possess, I had unfortunately grown apart from within recent years. Ours was a friendship that had started since we were 14 and was one of the most important relationships in my life for over a decade, and I wanted to put more effort into it so I didn't lose it. He was spending time overseas to reconnect with his heritage since his father's passing. I was already traveling, and my stay obviously turned out to be a lot longer than 2 weeks. It also turned into us getting married. Funny how life works out. About 2 weeks before our trip to the States for my sister's wedding, I sent out a mass email to close family letting them know that me and my husband were married. I wanted to assuage any possibility of us stealing any thunder right from the get-go. My mom replied that she was hurt that she wasn't told sooner or allowed to be there, which I understood. It seemed her mood flipped by the time we met in person, however. Rehearsal dinner was on Friday, and that was where we all met up for the first time. My mom was overjoyed to see me and my partner, and spent a large part of the night telling stories about how she had always predicted there was something different about my friendship with him compared to others I was close with in high school. It was a very sweet moment, but at the end of the night, my sister pulled me aside and asked if we would not wear our wedding rings to her ceremony. I was confused, so I asked why. She said I was taking the attention off her, and she was already bitter that I had hijacked her rehearsal dinner. More family might take notice if I wore my ring tomorrow and cause a similar incident. I refused. Like I mentioned before, the ceremony was beautiful, but she didn't speak to me for the rest of the weekend, and we ended up leaving the reception early. Am I the bonehead? Now for some comments. At that point, wearing your rings or not wouldn't have made a difference. Everyone already knew you were married. Maybe it would have been worse because people would wonder and ask why you were not wearing rings. Your sister, though, is not completely at fault either. She must have been pretty hurt that her rehearsal dinner was all about you getting married. You should have thought that sending an email wouldn't stop any conversation about your surprise wedding right before your sister's. I understand you're a carefree guy, but maybe you could have found a better way and time to let everyone know about your neo-marriage. Edit. After reading your comments, you're the bonehead. Married for 4 months and lets a few know just before the wedding of his sister and still doesn't see any problem with his actions. You're the bonehead. You were married for 3 months and you chose to announce your marriage just 2 weeks before your sister's wedding. Then her rehearsal dinner became you and your spouse's debut, not only as a couple, but a married couple. I don't think people's lives should be on hold, but I do think that when it comes to milestones events like weddings, the guests of honor should have the entire spotlight to themselves and people shouldn't take that away. You had to know that handling things this way was going to take attention away from your sister's big day. You're the bonehead. Normally, asking someone not to wear their wedding ring would be crazy, but I actually get where your sister is coming from. You seem remarkably self-centered and thoughtless of the impact of your actions and behaviors on others. How can you not think that running off to Ireland, getting married to someone you haven't seen for 14 years, and then telling everyone 2 weeks beforehand, despite being married for 4 months, wouldn't steal her thunder? Of course, they're all going to be more interested in you because what you did was insane, and so people will be wanting to talk about that. I think you know it would, and that's why you waited. The ring request wasn't really the big problem, but your overall behavior is. You're the bonehead for deciding that your one-track mind is just how you are and that you're not responsible for communicating with your family or planning things that include them. Emailing them to tell them you were married is so exclusionary and impersonal. I get that not everyone wants a big wedding, but you could have had a small party or at least made a phone call to your parents. From what you say, it's not that they were abusive. You were just lazy. That said, I don't think you need to not wear your wedding ring to your sister's wedding. Your family's first time meeting your husband is going to naturally have a bit of focus on him regardless of your jewelry or lack thereof. Should have thought about this weeks ago and had a party to intro him, but it's too late now.
What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you liked this story and you've made it this far, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate you spending your valuable time with me. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next Reddit story. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. Bye for now.